It is almost like rocket science, and I agree with Aung San Suu Kyi almost 200% if there is. Because whatever the future is today is what the children are today, because they are going to grow to become the future. So if they are illiterate, they are poor, they are begging, they are being trafficked and abused, that is the future we have. With me to discuss this issue is Jones Owusu-Yeboah, and he's the CEO of Sewa Foundation. And he says, Sewa Ankabeyeden. Right? Sewa Ankabeyeden. And it's cut short to Sewa. And what Jones does is Jones deals with children who are being abused and children who are being trafficked. Jones, thank you very much.
You're welcome.
And this is your platform. But Jones, I want to find out, how much protection has the average Ghanaian child got? That's if you don't live in Cantonment and Laboni and East Lagos.
Well, thank you for giving me this opportunity and big platform to talk about these issues. In fact, if you go to the rural areas, it's very serious. It's very serious. It seems sometimes when you go to some of these villages, it seems like that side of the town is not among in Ghana. Mm-hmm. I'm telling you, it's very serious. Because in the rural areas, what you see over there is pure poverty. And these things is very serious in such a way that they can't even afford their children's even, I won't talk about the fees, but even the dress that they can even wear for them to send them to the free days education is very serious. So if you are living in Accra, the way you see things is very different from the rural areas. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So I think when we talk about the protection of the children, the government has a lot to do.
Jones, are we using poverty as an excuse too much, or it is the real fact? I mean, everyone says, oh, I'm poor, that's why I'm poor, that's why. I mean, is it a reasonable excuse? I don't know.
Well, in other side, I would say yes. In other side, I would say no. Mm-hmm. Because, in fact, if you love your own child, if you are chewing a stone, you share with this the child that you have. Mm-hmm. But the fact is that sometimes education also counts. If you go to some of these rural areas, they don't know anything like maybe let's bring these children in the world. They don't think about even planning how they can even bring this
family planning.
The family planning. Mm-hmm. They don't have any family planning, let me say it that way. And in other side, I understand them. Because if you are in the city, maybe you watch your television, you listen some of this radio, you by all means have some entertainment around you. Mm-hmm. But if you go to this rural area, there's no electricity, there is nothing like maybe the thing that they can even entertain you. The only thing that they are waiting is an adjuyede. Mm-hmm. Let's enter. They take, I don't know if I can even mention, they take sex as their hobby. They don't think about how this sex can even bring them out. Do you understand? Mm-hmm. So they don't care to give them about 10, 15, 20. I quite remember I asked one woman, how many children do you have? He said, I have only just 6 children. And that lady in that village is true. He is the only person that
has the least children.
Yes. So you can imagine, if you have so many children one bring poverty. Because maybe if you plan the way you can even have 1, 2 children, the way if you get 1 CD or 2 CDs, you can even share with this child. But if you have them plenty, how are you going to do?
That's a problem.
Yeah. So it's very serious. It's very serious. And Another side to, I don't believe that it's a poverty, because in the olden days, like me, I'm a victim of child trafficking and child abuse.
See?
Yes, that is why I came out to dedicate myself that, no, let me do or speak for the children.
And try and save them.
Yes. And
share a bit of your experience with that.
My little experience about this issue that we are talking about is, my mother said she needed a girl, and I came. And within a few days, armed robbers came to rob her. And also, she was marketed at the Kaneshi. And that was the time that they started to build that market. So they sack all of them from them. So for me, I'm a bad luck. So they sent me to the grandpa at the age of 3 years. And the 3 years later, the grandpa died, and I started my own life. I have to find my own way to go to school, to eat, where I can sleep. But
but at that young age, how were you doing it?
It's serious. That is why I'm saying that in other side I will say no. Because somebody saw me, one cocoa seller saw me at the night. I'll go and sleep in front of let me say on the steps of that cocoa seller. So early in the morning one day he saw me and he said, no, let me take you so that I will add you to my children. So in the morning, he will give me cocoa, small, and I'll carry this cocoa from Koforidua down to Koforidua.
How old were you by then?
You said?
How old were you by then?
At that time, I was around 7.
Okay.
Because my grandpa died at the age of 6 years.
Okay.
I was around 7. So I'll help this woman to carry or to sell this cocoa for me to get something to eat. And at the same time, you see me around the station there helping people carry this thing like kayaye before I get some chop money. When I get some chop money, I have to send some to my teacher. And when they ask school fees, this teacher will come in and pay some parts for me. In fact, I find it very difficult and up to date. If somebody talks about life, I know real life. I'm telling you, it wasn't easy. Though I forced, and you see, it's like you are doing something at the same time and you want to learn. You don't have food to eat. You have to find your own means to get the food. At the same time, you have to learn. You are not like somebody that the parents are taking care of them. So I went to school, all right, Koforidua Technical Secondary and Technical School. I came to St. Paul's. But at that time, you have to pay every course that you are doing. English, mathematics, before your technical aspect that you are taking in the school. And for me, I lost a lot of them because I haven't got money to pay some of these things. Today, in fact, I thank God of my life that I'm still alive. I can even know what is going on the children that has been rejected, to speak for them. As for that one, I thank God for that. And I don't know if I got I was having a parent and they took very good care of me. I don't know.
What would you have ended up as?
That's it. So it's serious. So let's continue because I don't want to go back to my life because if I remember always my back, it's something tells me that no, do this, do this, do this, do this.
Which is what you were doing.
Yeah.
So let's start with child trafficking.
Okay.
How serious is child trafficking in the country at the moment?
Well, when we talk about child trafficking in the country, I I would say it's very serious and dangerous, and it's going on. But in other side too, that is the reason why in other side I choose the awareness creation, because child trafficking in this country is not the normal one that we are seeing it outside there. One, child trafficking in this country is because of the poverty, let me say it that way. Because sometimes when you get to some of these victims and you want to ask them, why did you sell this child to? The only thing they can even say, I have so many children and I can't even afford their fees, or I can't even take care of them. If I sell them, why? And sometimes too, you see, most of the children that they are using them on this lake are from Dodoa, Adan, and this thing. I quite remember some years back, we rescued some children that they are taking them to Yeji at the police depot. And the one MP from, is it Pram Pram or Adan, Shigi, is it Shigi or Shigi? I don't know. They came out and they said, no, this is not a trafficking, because if you look at me, I did the same thing. I went and stayed with my uncle, and they used me in a farming before I got to this stage. So why I don't see the reason why you are telling me that if I send my child to somebody is a trafficking. But you know what? Trafficking is whereby you take that child from another place to another place. That is the transport. So the main meaning of trafficking is transportation, harboring, the receipt of person, a lot of. So as far as you have even got to that village, brought the child from that village, and the agreement is not hot, you told the parent over there, it's trafficking. Because maybe I can, for example, I can even come to you. I can even come to you and tell you that, oh, I can even take care of your child. That is the agreement between me and you. When I pick that child and I send that child to the city, and the agreement is I'm going to take care of that child and I'll send the child to school. Do you understand? When I brought the child to the city and I didn't send that child to school, I have failed too. And because of I picked the child from another town to another town, it's transport. Do you understand?
Yeah.
And also, we use some of these children in house help. Are we sending these children to school? No. It's you are harboring that child in order to say that instead of to send that child to school, you have filled the agreement that you told the parent. Are you getting me? So secondly, as far as you have traveled with a child, you have failed to send that child to school, you are using the child in the working place whereby maybe some of these children that we see them on the street selling ice water. Some of these children that we see them on the lake. Some of these children that we see them on the other places. But what we are saying that as far as that child is working on the lake, it has become worst form of child labor. Because when that child got into the water, how are they coming out? They will find it difficult. You understand?
Yeah.
That's the dangerous one. Fine, are you selling that child maybe between 6 and 11 on the street to sell ice water? It's a dangerous place. It means that become child labor. Sometimes when you talk about a child labor, some of the parents say, if I had my own children and I'm sending that child to sell ice water all day. No, we are not saying that don't send that child or don't train that child how to trade. But the place where you can even send the child to, that make it labor. Please, do you understand?
I do.
And also, if you look at the children's art, we have every maybe from 6 to 9, the work that you're supposed to give that child, from 9, 11 to 12 or 15, the work that child's supposed to do is there. So when you compare it on the child, that's one that brought this issue of child labor. And child trafficking issue end up with worst form of child labor.
Jones, you see, are we not defining these laws and everything by advanced country standard? Oh, in America, children don't do this, so if you come to Ghana, children don't do. But we sort of have a different setup. We have a different, economy where, probably in America nobody goes to a farm, and nobody has a canoe to go fishing. So they have things differently. And have we looked at our culture to define the labor?
Well, let me say in this way, this laws and how we are comparing ourselves in other countries, I will say it's not helping us. The reason is African culture is different from the white people. For example, when we talk about even the social welfare in Europe countries is different from Ghana. So it seems when you bring these things to Africa and you don't have the means, which means you are coming to, I don't know how to say it, but you are coming to destroy everything. For example, we brought this child labor in Ghana and we are saying child labor, child labor, child labor. When you wake up and sometimes when you talk about the child labor, some people ask you, you say child labor, child labor. If I have my child and I'm sending her, is it a child labor? Or if I beat my child, is it child labor? Or abuse? But in other side, you see it is true. In Africa, child, we use them, we train them by cane. We train them by maybe sending them, do this, do this, do this. In the European countries, the social welfare is very tight. You can even go out there to give your child to any social worker that is my child, but I can't even take care of that child. Take it. The government will take care of that child. Let's ask Ghana. I don't know any African country, but let's ask ourselves in Ghana here, is the social welfare working? Are they have the money or the thing that they can even do to help these children? No. So sometimes I don't agree with some of the laws and all these things that we are strengthening it in Africa or Ghana here. Because of that, I think we need to do something about the law. Also, we need to bring some of this culture into the law. If you look at the law, last time I was reading this law, the European one and the African one in Ghana here, it's the same. It's the same. Do you understand?
Yeah.
It's the same.
Yeah.
It's supposed to be in this way. Okay, the one that we can even afford in European one, let's add Ghana one to attach it and remove some of these things from it. Please, do you understand?
And I do.
And it will suit. Because if you tell me, okay, please, if you beat your child, I will arrest you. In Ghana here, if you arrest that parent, who is going to take the rest of the children? Who is going to take care of the rest of the children? These are the challenges that we are facing. So Sawa Foundation, sometimes, when we get to some of these people that they have been abused, these children, we don't know what to do because that person have children about 4 or 5. And that person has abused only one child. Are you going to arrest that man or that person to leave the children over there or to pick them? These are the challenges that we are facing.
So in this case, do you just pick the abused child or?
In fact, Sawa Foundation, what we do is we pick the abused child. Because, for example, I have some experience, like I was sharing my lifestyle with you. I think that if your parents don't like you in Africa here, they don't like you. That's what I.
We're going to take a break here and find out what then happens. Your parents don't like you, and the social service, they like you, but they can't afford you. What do you do? Stay tuned. Red card against child labor, and I think we should all join in this fight to say no to child labor. But how do we do it is what we are trying to discuss. And just before one of the break, I was just talking to Jones. Jones is saying that your parents have disowned you, and the social services can't afford you. And that is a huge dilemma. But Jones, I'm just picturing that you stop a bus load of 300 girls maybe coming up from the north, and you are lucky to intercept them. So what do? Do you send them back up north? Do you keep them in social service? Who is going to provide? Because that is 900 meals a day. That's 3 breakfast, lunch, supper. So you need 900 plates of food a day just to keep a bus load of 300 people. How do you do that?
In fact, this is some of the challenges that let me say, in the Ghana Police Service, the ministry and the social welfare is facing now. Because when we talk about the feeding victims in this country, we find it very difficult. We find it very difficult. Like this 300 that you are talking about, you are going to feed them morning, afternoon, evening.
That's 900 meals.
Yes. They are not maybe children.
Yeah, teenagers, so yes. They will have a bowl of kenke each, yes. At least.
At least. And the question is, I was even speaking on one
let me acknowledge Miss Victoria Nachu, who is the head of Human Trafficking Secretariat at the Gender Ministry. Victoria, you're welcome.
Thank you very much.
Well, today being Child Labor Day, and we are all doing our bits to see how we can reduce or stop it. So it falls well within your jurisdiction. And we're trying to see how we can support. And I think you are in a very, very difficult position. And we've got into the conversation where the parent has neglected or does not want the child, and social service cannot afford the child. So what then does the child do, Victoria? Now, I've painted a scenario where you stop a bus of 300 children being trafficked, into the city. I mean, what do you do? Where do you house them? Who feeds them? And who takes care of them? How do you manage that?
Well, before I go on, let me just say good evening to the viewers or listeners.
Viewers, yes.
Thank you. The scenario you painted is a difficult one, but it is not unsurmountable. You have stopped a bus of 300 children being trafficked. As a ministry, we work in collaboration with the police, governmental and non-governmental organizations.
Yeah.
So for the very first thing to do is to put them at a place. Normally, it could be in one of the Department of Social Welfare institutions or the police premise, so that we interview them, we ask questions, and then we do a needs assessment.
Yeah.
And quickly, we call upon our rapid response team, which comprises of psychologists, other NGOs that have shelters, social workers, and then those CSOs and NGOs. So with this, we are able to pick those who can be sent back home immediately, back home. It is not always the case that when children are picked, their relatives will say they will not take any of them. It is not always the case. Sometimes some of these children get onto buses when their parents really do not know where the children are. And we have situations where they come on air to announce that their children are missing. So this situation helps when we get cases like this, and then we do our investigations quickly, a quick needs assessment. We want to put those who in real terms are lost or have been coerced onto the vehicle to get them onto a TV station and want to find out if people know them. While doing this, we would have arranged places with NGOs, those who can help keep some of them, to keep them. Ghana, as a country, we do not have national or state shelters for the moment. What we have is a shelter for abused children in Osu, whose capacity cannot go beyond 30. Mm-hmm. But then we have another improvised shelter in Medina that could take care of also about 20, 25.
Okay.
So the problem of 300 becomes a problem, and we'll want to fall on places like Don Bosco. There are other NGOs that support Kinder Paradise in Pram Pram, and then a few others offhead. I can't pick them immediately.
I agree.
Yes, and then we put them around those places while psychologists, social workers, and then in charge of those institutions start taking care of them. The police will do their part also in terms of investigations to find out what can be done. Those who can be sent home are reintegrated, or families are traced, and then normally it's with the support of UNICEF. They help us a lot when it comes to issues like this. We know government, like we normally say, is not able to do it all alone. So UNICEF most of the time supports in family tracing. And then we have in our various districts social workers who, when we get the information, we just call on phone and relay the information to the district so they are able to contact community members or families to come over to Accra to identify their children and take them away. But before we take them away, we do a lot of counseling and want to know what needs they have. And then we still fall on. Sometimes you hear us on radio and TV appealing for support for some of these needy children. It is a way of sending some of these children back home. Those who are not able to go back home, we send them to a more permanent shelter. One example is Don Bosco, the other is Kinder Paradise, where they send them to school and give them the best of care. We have some of our children in secondary schools and universities at the moment.
Victoria, I need to put you on the spot. I mean, are you giving me the paper theory or the practical theory? Because the situation on the ground is much more horrible than the picture you are painting now.
That is.
Well, if I look at how many Kaya years are out here and how young they are, it doesn't look like they've been helped and coerced and psychologists and be put in school.
My brother, yes. the issue of Kayayo is a different ball game altogether. Mm-hmm. We have some of them who on their own volition decided to come to Accra or the city centers to come and work. And then we have those who have been coerced into coming or being trafficked. We have situations like that. But what we are saying is that issues of Kayayo is bigger than we are just looking at. We have made some efforts some 10, 12 years ago with the same support of UNICEF. We rescued some of them. We gave them training in Medina. The numbers are off my head, I cannot also say because it's been a while. Mm-hmm. And I was not actually involved in that particular training, but I was then in social welfare. And I know that we had that training for them for a period. And then we gave them machines, weaving looms, because they are from the north. They told us what they will want to do when they go back home. Mm-hmm. And then, if you go to social welfare today, we have a bus we call the Kayayo bus. We were even given a bus to do these activities. And we took them back, reintegrated them back into the north. Surprisingly, less than a year, they have come back. And it tells us maybe we didn't do our homework well because the economy over there, with whatever they've learned, they were not able to totally make good use of those skills there. And so people were not patronizing. And it looks like to them, they make much more money carrying this headload than the economy back home. And for some reason, I don't know whether to say they are more economically intuitive than we are thinking. Mm-hmm. When we go to pay cash grants, that's the livelihood empowerment in the north. We have situations where people tell us, since I've been working, I have never made a profit of 100 cedis. Yet, for our live cash transfer, we are able to give them for a month 24 cedis, for 2 months 48, and it continues like that. So I'm saying for trafficking, no, for Kayayo issue, it is a bit different from when we talk of just trafficking and then the children have been rescued. We have adult Kayayes, and then we have child Kayayes. Our concern for now, and in the Ministry of Gender, Children and Social Protection, our concern now is to look at especially the younger ones who are below the age of 18 years. In fact, very soon we are coming out to do an identification process to find out how many of these Kayayes are children. Because for the adults, you cannot force them not to do what they want to do, because that is work for them.
Victoria, let me come in here. How would you determine their age? Would you take a dentist to do a dental check? Because nobody has an idea.
Well, yes. Some of the children, the moment you see are children, and you can't deny that. There are children as young as 6, 7 years, 8 years, 9 years on the market or in the street. We know that. But then the question is, when you pack all these children immediately, where are you going to keep them? Sometimes that is the difficulty. And this time, because of the example I've given, and the mistakes we have made earlier, after training them, buying all those things for them, in fact, it even encouraged others to also come back to say, we also want machines and bowls and weaving looms. Yes, we were told they sold them and came back to Accra. So this time, we want to be a bit more careful to find out the best of strategies we can undertake to help solve this Kayayo menace. I'm saying the adults probably, we might have to find a way of protecting them in terms of where they will live and then their environment and how we can take care of their children. But for the younger ones, we should be able to find ways and means of reintegrating them back home so they can be given the livelihood empowerment cash plan so they can go to school. Education is important for us.
Very good. Victoria, now let's just come down to Accra here, and I'm not going to do Kaya. Just little children who are dotted around traffic lights. Some are doing window cleaning. Some come to you and just basically just ask you for money without doing anything. And I want to cite the airport traffic lights, where in the evening there's this bunch of children standing there right next to the police station. And then you just ask yourself, who should do what? I mean, where are their parents? Where do we go from there, Victoria?
This one, I'm on the spot. Yes, we know of all these difficulties. For every child in Ghana, the state is responsible for their protection. Yeah. Even though the very first point of protection is the family or the parents. But unfortunately for us, I don't know, our economy is not able to withstand some of this. We as a ministry and then the Department of Social Welfare, and even the human trafficking myself, we do not have enough resources to do all the work we are supposed to do. The laws, the policies, we have them. The problem is how to implement the beautiful policies we have put on paper. It will be okay if, let's say, between social welfare and the police, we should be able to round these children up. But then you just don't go round people up, and then you need to feed them, you need to take care of their medical, you need to look for clothing for them, and then even where to lay their head. And that's why I was saying, if it is a plan something, then we work in collaboration with the NGOs and then those who have shelters, Art Foundation and the rest.
Victoria, can we hold the parents responsible? Because, I mean, if I'm a parent, can I only use the poverty as my card? Oh, well, I'm poor, so I have to break the law. I'm poor, so please let me break the law. Can we always use poverty as our reason to break the law?
No, for me in particular, I don't take poverty as an issue. Because I know of families who are poor, very poor, yet they have been able to take care of their children and have gone far. And they have broken that cycle of poverty, and for which reason today their children have become useful citizens for the state. We know of so many of such children. So normally I do not take poverty as an issue. But then when we did the Ghana Living Standard Survey 5, and realized 18.5 or 18.2% of the population is extremely poor. In 2007, 2008, that is how come government brought in the cash grants and some other social protection policies. Unfortunately, these policies are not enough for everybody. So parents, I'm saying, do not have any excuse to be saying they are poor. We have opened our doors and said, those who cannot manage, at least get to our district offices and register as wanting to benefit from the cash grant. Even though it's not big, it helps. Because we have the free compulsory universal basic education. Even though we are saying it's free, that aspect of compulsory we are not able to implement. Because if we implement the compulsory side, then it is possible that any child on the street could be arrested, and then we find out where you are coming from, and your parents are held responsible. Unfortunately, that side of the compulsory is not working very well, and that is the major headache for us at the moment.
Victoria, again, let me put you on the spot, but I think generally, government generally, I think we pay too much lip service into child protection rather than acting, because everything you said is UNICEF, and it's sad that you give birth and then you wait for somebody to come and be responsible for your child. So collectively, I think we are failing on that department.
We are not failing totally, because when we have this, Ghana allowed itself in 2013 to be peer reviewed by its ECOWAS neighbors or ECOWAS countries. And I don't think we are doing, I've not gone the details into the report, but when they went to Abuja to discuss the peer review report, Ghana as a country has done a lot of good for our children. Just that I don't know whether because we are protecting children from the street, others are also coming. And that's why I said the Ministry of Gender, Children and Social Protection is trying to do a research to find out how come children are getting on the street more and more. We are not doing too badly, I must say. But then it is also about sensitizing parents to take good care of their children, for which reason at the moment, as a ministry, we are doing a child and welfare policy that will put most of the issues of protection of children back to the families or the parents, and then the communities, and then the chiefs and opinion leaders, and then the district assembly, as in that line of responsibility. Parents first. So when that policy comes, excuse of poverty, I'm hoping, will be minimized. Because we cannot continue to have children and then only say we are poor and therefore we cannot take care of them. Very soon, the Children's Act is also going to be reviewed. And I'm sure a little bit more stringent issues will be put in place, such that parents will be held responsible for the care and protection of their children.
Victoria, I mean, I dare to say, you're going to come up with this beautiful policy, which, gives the responsibility to the parent, to the chiefs, the district. But then what then happens is whoever it is that was supposed to police to make sure that the parent works is going to go back to sleep. And therefore, I'll go to airport and still see children there with next door to the police station not being enforced. How do we get the enforcement to work?
Well, let's let's see what the policy holds for us. Because sometimes, as we grow as a nation, we see our mistakes and we make the effort to correct them. So let's see what this policy brings, because I'm saying this time the responsibility is going to be more on the parents, family and communities, more than, because we have realized as a state, we do not even have the staff and the resources and then the various items that are needed to take care of children in terms of protection. We cannot continue to build shelters, talk about collecting people's children. In fact, institutions are not the best place for children's development. The home is the best place. Yeah. And for which reason, even children in our institutions, we are trying hard to de-institutionalize them so that those who cannot even go to any home are fostered by families. So institutions for care of children are very soon going to be things of the past. We'll keep just a limited number of institutions that children with difficult circumstances will be cared for in those homes. Otherwise, we are saying homes are the best place and families are the best place to nurture and care for children. And for which reason, the policy that is coming this time, my prayer and my hope is that we should be able to implement what is in there. Because as a country, listening or reading from other places, families these days are becoming very important. Yeah. And we are not taking good care of our children in our families, for which reason, even in terms of attitudes and character, things are getting wrong. For which reason, these days, we see children as young as 10, 12, 13 years getting into armed robbery. And as a country, we should sit up and find out why and start finding solutions as quickly as possible.
Victoria, hold on for me. I'm here with Jones Owusu-Yeboah, who is CEO of Sewa Foundation. And I just want to put a question to him. Jones, what happened to our attitude? Because we used to be very communal and all that stuff. So what happened to it? Why everybody is now giving an excuse, well, I can't afford my children, I mean, once upon a time, everybody sort of chipped in and had the responsibility of the child. So,
well, if you ask me this, sometimes I'll find it difficult to answer because in Ghana here, let me say in this way, there's no job. So the next thing that you have that person is, I don't work. I don't work. How am I going to get the money to take care of my child? You see, excuses in Ghana here is common to everybody. But all that we have to do, like my madam is saying on air, is we need to try our best because she mentioned that he have seen some of poor people that they are even taking care of their children and they are best now. So I think in the Ghana or as a nation as a whole, excuses is not helping us at all. So I think we have to do something ourselves before the government comes in.
Let me bring Victoria. I just want to bring you quickly before I go on the break. I mean, what happened to our communal spirit, where everybody was each other's keeper?
Maybe I must say we have overlearned what our colonial masters taught us. Because previously we lived in communities and we were each other's keepers. And in fact, when a relative or a mother or a father died, you have the whole family to take care of some of these children, and there was no problem. Social security was in the family and in communities. Today we have become, I don't know, because I don't want to even say urbanization of our academic laurels we've had. Everybody wants to be for everyone for himself, and God for us all. People are even afraid to take care of their neighbors' children. Even protection, let's say they've closed from school and your mother is not in yet, small boy, come and stay with me until your mother comes. People are even afraid. And I don't know what has changed all of a sudden, said that things have become what we are seeing today. Yes, some people will say, I don't have money. I don't have enough money to take care of my own self. Why should I take care of somebody else? Yes, the economy is not too good. Look at the salaries people are earning. Look at the school fees people are paying, even what we call free compulsory basic FQ. People are still paying school monies, pieces here and there. And if you look at our salaries, the very rich ones, yes, they don't have a problem. Unfortunately, they will also not take care of even their neighbors' children. Well, sometimes they want to donate to orphanages and the rest. But in terms of families, if we can go back and do that community thing, family being the nucleus of society, if we want to go and change if we can go back and think about how we used to live, unfortunately, in terms of attitude, it will take time. But I think NCC, the media, like we are doing today, all of us, let's start asking the questions. What has gone wrong in Ghana for which reason we are where we are today?
Thank you.
That children the age of 6, 7 are on the streets. If we go back to do our homework well, and then there is a proper government set up to look at all these things and give us proper education, not in terms of books, but in terms of even account drama, concert parties, Ghanaian movies. These are the things we should be seeing that should help us to change our attitudes and mentality and see whether things can improve.
Victoria,
that is my prayer.
Thank you very much, and I have to thank you here. Thank you very much for that insight. I'm going to take a break here. When we come back, I just want to find out what happened to the community. Stay tuned.